ass to the floor. Whoa. You ain't gotta deal with none of these niggas no more. If we having the beans, is that okay? Is it okay if I call you my pride baby? I ain't no player, I just had a lot of pain.
Hey everybody, welcome back, or probably welcome to my channel. My name is Alana Desiree, but you already know that because you saw it when you clicked on the video, whatever. Another story time. Yeah. And y'all, I'm gonna be fixing my hair, so don't. So I'm gonna be telling y'all about the time I had roommates that were in a cult. This is a very long story, so I don't know if I'm gonna do like one part or two part. I kind of want to tell it in one part, but I don't know. Right now, I'm just like trying to loosen up. Cause y'all, I'm not gonna lie, this story happened a few years ago. And the second I moved out, like it was like I was like repressing the memory, you know what I'm trying to say? And I'm not trying to say they did everything wrong and everything was all their fault, whatever the case may be. But I'm just saying, like,
you're dead ass motherfucking wrong. And I'm gonna be one thing about me, when a bitch wanna be wrong, I'm gonna be dead or wrong. Like, you're dead ass wrong. And
toot that thing up, mommy, make it roll, make it roll. You want smoke? Okay, I'm gonna just go ahead and start the story, okay? Because I don't know how much time I got. So, if y'all don't know, this is my like story time journal, so I'm gonna just read my notes, y'all don't mind me. So this story happened a few years back, okay? If I can remember, this was like me about to be my junior. I think I was about to be a junior in college, yeah. So this happened a few years ago. Well, literally like 2 years ago, whatever. So basically this is what happened, right? I was going to CAU. I still love CAU, but for some reason, I don't know, like, I guess I was just tired of like what was going on in the school. Like, I could never have any good housing. Like, it would always take me a long time to get my housing. So I was like, you know what, I want to transfer. I ended up trying to transfer to Georgia State, right? So I tried to transfer to Georgia State, and I was excited when I got in. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be downtown Atlanta. It's gonna be lit. It was not lit. Like, I kind of missed going back to CAU as soon as I transferred, but that's neither here or there, right? So, like, I was excited. I was lit. It's summertime. It's popping. And then they emailed me talking about they were basically trying to say, like, I would have to have my own housing. Sorry. Excuse me. So rude. So like I said, I transferred to Georgia State, and then they emailed me saying that they didn't have any housing. So I'm freaking out because in Atlanta, people start school in like late August, and it's the end of summer. So I'm like, damn, I gotta find somewhere to stay. So I'm basically stressed out. I ended up meeting up with this like other girl who was supposed to be going to Georgia State because they connected us to all the other students that didn't have housing. And it was like this white girl. She was really nice. And we was like looking for apartments, but we couldn't find it. It was just like a lot going on, right? So I'm stressed out. I'm on my Finsta at the time. And I'm basically saying, like, I can't believe this. I can't believe I'm gonna have housing. Like, I'm just boo-hoo crying. I don't know. I really want to fly to Atlanta, but I don't know where I'm gonna live if I go back to school there. So my friend, and we're just gonna call her like friend for right now. My friend, and I'm still cool with her to this day, y'all. But she ended up hitting me up. She calls me. She's like, hey, stop crying on Finsta. You could stay with me until you basically like have somewhere to stay. Now, I'm from Philadelphia, and so was my friend, but she actually had a place down there. So she was like, you can stay with me. And I was like, bet, like, it's litty. So I fly to Atlanta, and I go out and stay with my friend. So I get to my friend's house or whatever. I get to the airport, and I tell my friend, I'm like, hey, I'm here, whatever. She sends me her address. I go to the address. She's not even home, but it's her sister and her grandma, right? I had never met them before, so I'm just like, okay, like they live here. She didn't tell me that, but I was cool with it because like I ain't had nowhere else to go, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, her grandma offers me some food. I meet the sister for the first time. My friend ends up coming home, and we end up going out that night, I think. So cool, whatever the case may be. After a time though, I started to realize, like, I'm going to school at Georgia State, which is downtown. Where my friend was staying at, she didn't stay anywhere near downtown. So it was like, I was paying a lot of money just to get to school because I didn't have a car. So I was like, oh my goodness, like, I'm paying for Ubers every day. My mom was like sending me money every day so I can get an Uber so I can like go to school, because my mom is back home in Philly. I'm just here by myself with my friend, right? My mom is telling me like I can't keep asking her, so I get a job at Subway. Hated the job. I'm talking to my friend, and she ends up telling me she wants me to move in with her grandma because she doesn't want her grandma living with her. It's cramping her style. You know, she want to get freaky, she want to get crazy, you know, and she can't do that while her grandma is staying with her. I also forgot to mention that my friend's grandma didn't originally live with her. So before I flew down, I had already like spent the night at my friend's house, like lots of times, like, you know, drunk college nights. She would have a party over there, like we would have a really good time. And I would just like, she would like, oh, here's a blanket, you can stay over the night, right? So basically during the summertime when I had went back home, her grandma knocked on her door like one day. Well, this is what she said to me. She says that one day her grandma knocks on her door and basically is like, I want to stay with you for a little bit. So basically my friend was stressed out because she wanted to find a place for her grandma. Okay, now back to the story. She's like, wouldn't it be crazy if y'all got an apartment? Like, would you want to do that? Do you and my grandma want to get an apartment in my same complex? And so when she's telling me this, we're like, you know, we're hitting our ganja. So I'm thinking like, maybe that's a good idea. But at the same time, I'm like, maybe not, right? So she automatically thinks that that's a yes. And she starts like trying to look for an apartment for me and her grandma. Meanwhile, y'all, I am still like not really trying to live with her grandma. I'm on the phone with like my the guy I was talking to at the time, and he's like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Like, what if I come over? And I'm like, yeah, look, this is too much, because on top of that, me and her grandma, we didn't even really like get along. Like we were cool, but it was just like, she's not my grandma, you know what I'm saying? So it was just like, okay, like we were just like two strangers basically. So that's a whole nother story, y'all. That's a whole nother story how that happened. But basically, long story short, one day I'm working at Subway and I'm miserable. Like I can barely focus on my grades because of all the stuff going on. Like I'm basically, in my mind, I'm homeless because like, yeah, I'm staying with my friend, but that's not the ideal situation. I still need somewhere for me. And I'm busting my ass at this job at Subway. I hated that job. It was like a campus job. Hated it. And I was just miserable. Like I was spending too much money every day. It was just too much going on. So basically, one day I'm at Subway and she texts me and she's like, oh, are you ready to move in? Like, you want to sign the papers and move in like next week? And I'm like, what? Like, no. So I ended up telling her like, hey, I don't know if like, because I have been giving her hints. Like she would talk to me about the situation and I'll be like, I don't know if I really want to go through with this. And she was still like, in her mind, think that I was gonna live with her grandma. So she was still going through the process, even though I was telling her, like, I was trying to tell her, but I wasn't like being super upfront with her. I didn't just say, hey, I don't want to do this. I was just like, I don't know about that, girl. Like, I'm still thinking about that. I don't really know if I want to do that anymore. You know what I'm saying? So she texted me at Subway and she's like, are you ready to move in? And I'm like, no. Like, I explained to her that I don't really want to do that. And she basically is like, okay, why would you waste my time? Blah, blah, blah. We end up falling out and she tells me I have to get out of her house by the end of the month. So I'm not really a super prideful person, but in that moment I was like irate. I called my mom. I was like, Mom, I have to move out now. Now here's the thing. Meanwhile, I'm working this job. I'm also looking for apartments, right? My mom is all the way back home and she like finds this ad on Craigslist. My mom finds this ad on Craigslist of these girls and they're like, oh, we just need a third roommate or whatever the case may be. And my mom is really liking the prices because all the places that I had been looking at, places that I wanted to do, she was like, that's not realistic. You may not like stay at this job for long. You don't know like if you can keep that up. So she ends up sending me to this place. I go and I check it out. Me and my friend, we go and we check it out. This was before she kicked me out. So me and my friend went and visited the apartment that my mom found on Craigslist before we fell out. And I didn't really like it. I felt like the room was too small, number one. But I also didn't like the girls' energy, like their vibe. Like they didn't have a bad vibe necessarily, but I could tell they weren't my cup of tea. Like you can tell when you look at another person if y'all may or may not vibe or not. Like you could just tell off of like previous experiences. I try not to judge anybody, but I just the energy when we first interacted, I was like, okay, like I don't know if this is like a good roommate for me. But so fast forward, right? I'm at Subway, and that's when my friend texts me. She's like, do you want to go through with living with my grandma? I tell her no, and she basically like, we fall out because she wants me to get out by the end of the month. I'm on the phone with my mom, and I'm irate. I'm like, oh my goodness, I have to move out like now, like today. I know she said I have to the end of the month, but the way my pride was set up back then, I just didn't want to wait a month. I wanted to like just leave right then and there, because I was so mad that she would like say that to me. So I end up texting the girl from Craigslist, and I'm like, hey, and I remember because this was her name, her contact in my phone the whole time we lived together. It was Craigslist roommate, okay? Took an Uber down to my friend's, got all my stuff, got my suitcase, said bye to my friend's grandma, and then I got in an Uber, and then I went to my house, and I didn't have no furniture, no nothing. But I did end up quitting my Subway job because I ended up meeting a woman, and I was like her assistant for a little bit of time. She was giving me a lot of money. Like, she was really, really nice. So yeah, I'm in my new place. This woman, she knew my situation. Like, she was really nice. Like, she would buy me Krispy Kreme donuts, and she even would drive me around like after work. She would, like, before she dropped me off at home, because she was that nice, y'all. She would go help me go to like a little furniture store, and the money that she would give me, she would like let me go spend it on, like, you know, whatever I wanted to put in my apartment. So that's what happened. So now I'm living with these girls. Now this is when shit gets crazy, okay? Okay. I only had to furnish my room because remember, there were two girls and they already had their whole setup. They had a third roommate who ended up moving out. So I was like the fill-in. It was just like a room. They already had like a nice living room, nice everything. I just had to get my room together. So my boss at the time, she would drive me around, and I would go home, and each day slowly but surely ended up, you know, furnishing my place or my room. So I was living there for at least a good like day or two before I ended up meeting the other girl. So okay, the girl who I had originally named Craigslist roommate, we're gonna call her Max, okay? And the other girl that I hadn't met yet, we're gonna call her Ruby, okay? So Max and Ruby. A few days go by, and I end up randomly, like, I'm in the living room chilling, and Ruby comes home, and she's like, oh, hey, you must be the new girl, you're so pretty. She's just telling me like, wow, how are you? Like, what's your name? You know, she's getting to know me. And I'm basically talking to her. I can see she's kind of like looking me up and down, sizing me up while she's talking to me. But it's not like, she was kind of like, yeah, okay, yeah. Like, she just keeps talking to me, right? So I'm just like, okay, like, because I remember I had Mitch Mac socks, and I remember she made a face, and I was like, okay, like, and see, that's what I mean. Like, I'm a very laid back, chill person. I'm not for everybody, and I already knew that. So I was really just trying to, you know, keep it cute, keep it cordial. So I end up going, like, after a few days, they end up telling me that they want to have a house meeting, okay? They tell me they want to have a house meeting. Cool beans. So I pull up to the house meeting, okay? Mind you, it's the one night I come home after my class, and they're just like, we had a group chat, and I wish y'all, if I would have kept that group chat, y'all would have not believed some of the messages I have received from them. But we're gonna get to that. So they had a group chat, they added me in it. They basically said, let's have a house meeting tonight at so-and-so time. I was like, cool, bet, whatever. I come home and I attend the house meeting. Now, okay, so there's Max and there's Ruby, okay, mind you. I have pictures. The only receipts I have that this ever even happened is pictures of that place. We go to the little meeting. Max is there, Ruby is there, but then you got Max's gay best friend there, which I don't care about the end of that. First of all, I'm not even gonna get to the looks because it's gonna get brought up anyway. So basically, it's Max there, it's Ruby there, and then Max had brought her best friend. He was like like a gay man, and he was like cool, funny, whatever the case may be, right? So I'm thinking to myself, like, mind you, I don't know these people. So I'm thinking to myself, like, why is he here? Like, he's not a roommate, you know what I'm saying? But it was just like, okay, like, I don't really care, you know what I'm saying? But it just kind of stuck out to me. So I'm sitting there, and you know, it's usual, like, hey, this is my name, this is where I go to school. I had learned in that short period of time that Max had graduated Spelman, and that was like, we had something in common there because we both had went to school in the ABC Center, but she was a few years like older than me, so she had already graduated like by the time I was there. She was like 26 at the time, I believe, and I think I was about to be like 21, so that was cool or whatever. So then I learned that Ruby was still going to school. She had took a small break, but she was back, and she was going to Kennesaw after transferring from Spelman, I think. So then I learned that she was a fiance. She told me she was getting married soon, and I was like, okay, sis, I see you, whatever, Miss Wifey. Like, if he liked it, then he should have put a ring on it, period. So I was just like, okay, cool. But then, right, it's my turn to talk, and I'm basically like, yeah, so, like, I go here, I do this, I do that. I'm just basically giving them the whole spiel, you know what I'm saying? And tell me why Max goes,
do you eat?
and then why her best friend over here like, and I'm just like,
Come on, let's go outside. Go outside for what? We gonna fight.
because at the time, y'all, I was losing weight because I was depressed. I was going through a lot. And so I was super skinny, and I was super insecure about it because everybody around me, you know, had a nice shape, nice body, and I was given like pencil, and it was making me sad because I wasn't used to that. Like, back home, I was used to people gassing me up for my body and shit, and people still do. But back then, I just didn't realize that, you know what I'm saying? So I was feeling insecure. So when she said that, it kind of like, because not only did she say it, but then her friend laughed. So it was kind of like, I felt like it was a dig. But then like Max, she was kind of heavy set. So I was just like, why you sitting here asking me, do I eat? And I'm just thinking to myself, like, but if I ask you, do you stop eating or something like that, you're gonna be upset. So like, don't ever body shame anybody, because I'm not the one to do that. I have people in my family that have problems with weight, and I have people in my family that are proud of their weight. And so I would never tell you, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would never even think in my mind to even comment about your eating habits based off your body type. You get where I'm coming from? So it was just kind of like, okay, like, I was just very annoyed, but I was just like, I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it go. Jesus, take the wheel, okay? So while they're talking to me, they just casually slip in like, yeah, we were recently in a cult. Yeah, it just really damaged our mental health. So, well, I don't know what they said. They said something about how it shook them up, but they were trying to say that the cult that they were in was Christian based. It was from the college or something. I don't know, y'all. But they said they joined this club. They thought it was just a Christian club, and it turned into be a cult. They ended up isolating from their friends and family, and it even went so far as like, okay, we're gonna get there. I'm not even gonna like spoil it. I want y'all to feel what I was feeling every step of the way, okay? So boom, they're telling me they're in this cult, right? And I'm just thinking to myself, like, what? Like, that's crazy, you know what I'm saying? They're basically telling me that they still kind of act the way that the cult made them act, and they're trying to break those habits, right? And so I'm like, this is some scary shit, okay?
Lord, I'm having a heart attack. Damn, this is some scary shit. Oh, I am scared.
Okay, this is some scary shit. So I'm like, okay, cool, like, nice 10 out. So anyway, a couple days go by, and mind you, I smoke, okay? Surprise, surprise. I like to puff, puff, pass. So, you know, I was puff, puff, passing in my room, trying to be respectful, like, do it in the comfort of my room, you know what I'm saying? Because I am paying rent, so I feel like I can do what I want type of thing. But I know that not everybody likes it. And judging off, like, after they told me that they were, like, really super religious, which there's nothing wrong with that, but after they told me that, I started to peep certain things they would do. So now I'm about to start bringing up a series of petty events because they all have some type of significance to me. Like, y'all be in the comments, because I'm not gonna make it seem like they did everything wrong in the story, okay? I definitely did some things, but y'all in the comments tell me what y'all think, and then we'll talk about it. So, moving the story along. I'm living there for a few days. I'm smoking, I'm puffing, I'm passing in my room. And basically they call another house meeting, and they proceed to tell me, I can't smoke in there. It's actually like in the apartment, like housing rules. You know how every apartment has like no dogs, no cats, whatever the case may be. Also, it was also no smoking. I also want to point out that this was the hood, and everybody and their mama was smoking outside. It would get to like, as soon as the girls would get out their car, they would act uncomfortable and clutch their purse, because it would be hood niggas smoking that ganja, okay?
You in the hood now, baby.
So like, I was just kind of like confused, because they're basically telling me not to smoke anymore. And then Ruby is like, yeah, and it also messes with my asthma. Keep in mind, if you know anything about like, you know, that good grass, you know that like you put a towel under the door, it's not gonna affect anybody else in the house. So for her to say that she was gonna have asthma, like, I'm not trying to invalidate it, but I knew that they were just like kind of like being petty and just being like, you know, uncomfortable. But I'm bringing this up because later on down the line, Max ends up asking me if I know anybody so I can get her some. So it was just kind of like, but that's neither here or there. So that was the first. I'm gonna tell you about the pancake. The pancake incident. Before I get into this incident, I want to point out that over time, Ruby started to take a liking to me, or at least I thought she was. If we were both home alone, she would sometimes knock on my door. I remember this one time she knocked on my door and she goes like, hey, like, I have this makeup subscription called Ipsy. I get makeup samples sent to my house. I noticed that you do your makeup a lot in the mornings, like before you go to class or whatever. So like, I don't need this, I don't wear this, do you want this? And she would like give me like random makeup items. Like she would just knock on my door and be like, hey. But when she would knock on my door and I would open it, she would like peek all in it. She would try to see, because by that time I was like, you know, furnishing my room, like I said. And she would, I feel like she was like trying to see what my room looked like, which is, I guess that's normal, but at the same time, it's like, just ask, like, don't be weird about it. So she would just be like, oh, like trying to see. And I think I didn't have a real bed frame. I had like, you know, the stuff that Summer Walker has. I had that at the time because I'm a college student. I couldn't afford like a nice bed frame. Eventually I did get one, and then I didn't even put it together because I didn't know what to do. And I had my man come and put it together or whatever. But you know, at that time I had those crates. So I feel like she was just trying to find something to like say about me. But I was trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, because I'm like, okay, like she's giving me all these things. She ended up giving me like eyeshadow palette. She gave me mascara. She would just give me stuff, okay? And she would also ask me, I remember one day she started asking me, like, if she was like, oh, I'm trying to pick out this new dress for a date that me and my fiance are going out on. Can you come meet me at the mall? When I get home from class, I like to unwind, you know what I'm saying? I'm at home and I'm looking at the text and I'm thinking like, this girl has been being so nice to me, but at the same time, she's giving me like a, I don't know, type of energy she's giving me, like I really don't. So whatever. So my friend, he ends up texting me one day. He asked me if he could come and visit me because he was visiting our mutual friend, because he went to college with us our freshman year, but he ended up moving back to Florida. So he was asking me, like, I'm about to fly down for our mutual friend's birthday, and he was asking me if I could like be a good host until his Airbnb opens up, because I think the Airbnb check-in was like 12 or something, or 11 a.m. and his plane landed at like 8 or 9 in the morning. So I ended up telling him, like, of course you can come, like I have a nice apartment, because it really was a nice apartment, y'all. I don't know if I already inserted pictures, but I do have pictures of me taking selfies like in the living room, in the kitchen, whatever. So I'm insert them here. Yeah, that was me back in the day, y'all. Crazy. But so I'm like, of course you can come. Like, of course, like I would never tell you no. Cause he really was like a really good friend of mine. So he comes and we're geeking, we were giggling, like he finally touches down in the A. He comes and we're just outside. I'm basically telling him like, cause I had a fence still back then, like I said, so I would be complaining about my roommates and stuff. So he already knew that he had to be like a little like, he had to walk on eggshells when he was around them. So we're just smoking. I smoke with him outside now, mind you. I was so stressed about them, and you'll see why shortly. But they stressed me out so much that like I literally, when they told me I couldn't smoke, I was like, okay, because I'm just gonna go outside every morning and wake and bake. Cause that's usually what I tend to do. I like to wake and bake and I like to sleep. I like to smoke when I like come home before I go to sleep. I do smoke during the day if I'm off, but it's not really good for my productivity. So I try to only do it like maybe when I first wake up or when I go to sleep, or maybe both depending on how I'm feeling. So I'm basically letting him wake and bake because he likes to wake and bake too. Like most of my friends like to smoke a lot. So he's like, oh, we're outside. I'm telling him like, yeah, we're outside. I know that I wish I could smoke in, you know, the nice apartment, but we can't because my roommates, they be tripping, whatever the case may be. He's like, yeah, I've been reading your posts. I know they be tripping, da, 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 da. So I come in and we're just high, okay? So I'm like, you know what? I want to make you a breakfast because you my friend. I'll fuck with you the long way. I'm gonna make you a breakfast. So he's like one of my funniest friends, like my funny, you know, gay men are fucking funny. And I'm not saying that on no, because I'm bi, by the way. But I'm not saying that on no, I love gay men type shit. Like, I'm dead serious. There's a certain type of funny in this world that exists, and they are just top tier when it comes to like humor and jokes. So even though we try to be quiet, y'all, I'm in the kitchen whipping up some breakfast, and he's making me laugh. Like, we are really having a good old time. Ruby, she's like, she got a little attitude. She's trying to see who that is. She doesn't know. But I did text them before he even got there. I'm like, hey, my friend's gonna come over for the morning. He's not staying for a long time. And they were okay with it. So like, she was poking her hand out, looking all crazy. And then I was just like, maybe we should be quiet. But we like giggling. We're like, like, we should be quiet. Like, you know what I'm saying? So finally, I make this of pancakes. We're eating. He's telling me like, oh, we're just catching up, chit-chatting, whatever the case may be. And we're eating in my room because, you know, trying to be quiet. So then he ends up calling an Uber, and mind you, we were kind of like a little schmiz. So the Uber ends up coming. He missed the notification. Suddenly he's outside. So I'm like, okay, we gotta go, because he's trying to check in his Airbnb now. So I'm like, oh my God, come on, let's go. So he had some of his leftover pancake on the plate, and I'm like, telling him to go outside and get in the Uber and tell the Uber I'll be out in like 1 minute. I was gonna grab my keys, lock up, you know, just make sure everything's straight before I leave the house. So I'm like, or the apartment, you know what I mean. So I'm like, oh, like just go outside and I will catch up to you, you know what I'm saying? So he's like, okay, he runs out and I'm about to run out. I grab my keys and I'm like, fuck. I see the pancake and I'm like, okay, think fast. You already took too much time, like took like a minute putting on your shoes, grabbing your keys and your coat. Now you got this pancake. You can't wash the dish right now. That's just unpractical. So I'm not gonna lie, this was some high shit, y'all. This was some high shit. I will admit it. I ended up putting the pancake in like a plastic. You know how like people put, well, if you black, probably you put your trash in like a little, you know, ShopRite, Walmart, whatever bag that you use. And I'm just like putting it in there, and I put it near the trash. Like I was about to put it in the trash, but the trash was already full. So I'm thinking to myself, like, if I wrap it up with 2 plastic bags, it'll be fine. I thought I put it near the trash. Now, mind you, we had 2 doors in the apartment. We had a door like this, then we had a door like over there somewhere. It was a little back door, and back door was a trash was over there. So I put it over there. We had like a little area where you could sit, and I end up dashing it, running out the door. So I thought that I put it in the trash, but again, the trash was full, so it fell out. So basically, or whatever the case may be, I get home and after, like, you know, I'm having a good time with my friends, I get home a few hours later, nobody's really home, nobody in the common area. So I see the back and I'm like, shit, I left it out. And I just knew they were gonna say something because around this time they started to like basically insinuate that I need to help out with cleaning, like I need to like scrub the walls more often, or like they were just saying like weird off the wall shit. They were like, oh, you need to, and some of it made sense, so I automatically complied. Also, I felt like it was 2 against 1, so anything they told me to do, I would do. Mind you, the apartment always looked this neat at all times, and they really were convincing me that I had to scrub the walls more often or something like that. But anyway, back to the story. They started telling me like I might leave like makeup, pencil shavings in the bathroom, and they would just, or maybe like a piece of my weave would fall out, and they would just like basically tell me that I need to clean up because I wasn't living up to their standards. Sorry, y'all. So I knew they were gonna have a problem with the pancake. Okay, I knew it. Even though it was wrapped up, no smell, no nothing, no flies, no none of that. It was just wrapped up real good. I knew they were gonna have a problem. So I come home, I see it. I immediately throw it into the trash, whatever the case may be. Mind you, we had a trash schedule. So somebody must have took the trash out and I put it into like the new trash bin. So I go in my room, whatever the case may be. I was in my room chilling and they come home. One of the girls, she comes home, Max, she comes home, she immediately goes to the kitchen and she's cooking. Ruby comes home and she's like talking to Max, and I start to hear them bring me up. Mind you, the walls are mad thin, and this is also not the first time I heard them say something kind of slick through the walls. So they're in the kitchen. They have no idea I can hear them. And Max is like, yeah, you know, did you see what she left this morning? And Ruby's like, yeah, that was so crazy. And Max is like, yeah, I really feel like I'm so glad that I had my major in college because now I can point out like mental illnesses.
Like, I think she's a little retarded. I think she's a little slow.
What did he say?
Wait a damn minute.
Now you just diagnosed me with a mental disorder because of that high shit I did. And on one hand, I'm like, I can see why they would think that was a little strange of me, because like I would think that would be weird too, to a certain extent. But I also, maybe it's because I'm too laid back. Maybe it's because I need to lay off the ganja or something, because I just feel like I might be annoyed. I might throw it away for the person. I might do a lot of things, but I'm not gonna say that they're retarded. Like, that's on the last thing I'm gonna think about. So I'm in my room thinking like, are they fucking serious? Like, I am literally, I remember this vividly because my blood started boiling. But at this time, y'all, see, I'm a changed woman. But back then, I didn't really have a strong backbone, I would say. Like, I stick up for myself, but I also had the mentality of like, I'm confident enough in myself to not debunk any rumors about me. So when they would say stuff about me, I would just kind of let it roll off my back. I would still come out with my head high. I would still be beautiful. They would have company come over and they would be like, oh my God, you're so beautiful. Like, and I could tell that they would try to tell their friend before the friend came over, oh my God, our roommate, she's so this, she's so that. And they would meet me and all their friends would immediately think that I'm like charming. I'm like very elegant. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm very eloquent in speech as well. So I used to just kind of think to myself like, okay, like I was irritated, but I was just like, ooh, like I can't wait to prove them it's just wrong. Like, and I don't even know, like I really should have ran up there and popped them in their mouth, but I don't know why I didn't do that. So moving on. So I hear them and Ruby starts, laughing. She's like, hee hee hee, you're so funny. And the girl's like, no, I'm serious. Like, and they just started laughing about the situation. They ended up changing the subject, and that was the end of that, right? So I'm in my head like, noted. Like, I started to get annoyed. So now we're gonna move on to the bathroom incident. Okay. One day I'm in the bathroom and they had been telling me that they wanted me to like get out the bathroom because I guess I was taking too much time because we only had one bathroom. I would try to do my makeup in like 30 minutes, but after taking a shower, which is maybe like 15 minutes, and then I'm doing my makeup, I could see why they were like slightly annoyed. So I would try to wake up early, or I would try to like I would try to memorize I would let them go first, or whatever the case may be, because I usually had late classes if I didn't have like early work. I would usually try to work in the mornings and then go to class in the afternoon. So like I would just be like, you know, trying to like schedule them out, and then I would just wait till they all left. But this one particular day, I think I had something to do. Like I had to go to class early for whatever reason. So I'm like doing my makeup or whatever in the morning. I woke up kind of early and I'm doing makeup, and basically Ruby wakes up and she wants to go to the bathroom. So she knocks on the door. She's basically telling me like, you need to get out the bathroom. Like, we already told you that you need to get out. Can you get out, please? I need to pee. And so I'm in the other side of the bathroom because the door is closed. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I'll be out in a minute, right? Mind you, I have a soft voice. So Ruby, for whatever reason, she's like, what you say? What you say? And now I'm getting irate because I'm just like, bro, I said I'm gonna be out in a minute. So she's like, oh, and then she like walks off to her room. Like I hear her like heavy ass stomps into her room or whatever. So I'm like, what the fuck? So, cause mind you, this is after she's giving me gifts and stuff. So I'm just like, okay, like, cause it kind of felt like when they teamed up together, they was trying to play mean girl. But when they was alone, when it was just one-on-one, they was really not trying to step to me. And so I was confused. So, and I'm just annoyed. So I'm packing up my makeup. I'm putting my makeup in my makeup bag. I'm getting all my stuff. I'm cleaning the sink off from my hairs. Cause I remember they told me, you know, to be more cautious of what I do. So I'm being more cautious. I guess the girl can't wait. She got pee real bad. She comes right back in. Boom, boom, boom. Knocking on the door. She's like, can you get out? We end up exchanging words. I don't even remember what we said. But I'm just like, girl, what the fuck? Like I told you, I'm coming out. Like, what the fuck? So then I open the door. Tell me why. By the time I open the door, she's not up against the door like I expected. She's way back. Like, pretend y'all are like me. This is her door all the way back here. All I see is her in the door frame with the door open. And she, as soon as I open the door, y'all, she runs. Literally, that's what I saw, y'all. I open the door, I see her standing in the doorway, and she literally runs, dodges me, pushes me a little bit, and goes to the bathroom, turns around, looks at me, giggles, and closes the door in my face. Let me run that back. This is what she do. Literally, like, that's what happened. Like, she looked at me, she gave me a little, and then closed the door in my face. But I'm gonna tell y'all, just thinking about it, it's getting my blood pressure up, because I literally just wanted to like, bitch, you got one more fucking time to play with me, ho. Cause like, I'm really a nice person, but everybody has their limits. And that's not no like shade, no threat, nothing. I'm just saying, like, it doesn't matter how much shit you talk about a person. That person eventually is gonna be like, what the fuck? Like, why you keep talking about me? Cause like, that's just human nature at some point. So, ciao. So now we're about to get into like the actual cult, like how I started learning more about the cult and things like that. So during this time, y'all, I had a boo. He's still my man to this day. But back then, We was just like freshly dating, okay? So me and my man or whatever, he will always come over and he liked to use the laundry because that was his thing. He liked to use the laundry or whatever. So cool, whatever. Like if nobody else was using it, like if they didn't have any clothes in there, I would be like, yeah, come over. He would do his laundry, we would be in the room, we would be booed up, and that was that. Like we were just happy, we was in love, like period. So I was like, okay, like cool. So one day me and him were in my room and we're just, you know, chilling, vibing, doing what it do, you know, chilling. And Ruby comes home and she's on the phone with her fiance and they are arguing. All you hear is Ruby, she's like basically cursing him out. Like she's basically like treating the fuck out of him, like saying like, your mama raised a mama's boy, you sow this, you sow that, And whatever he's saying on the phone is getting her hot. So she's like arguing, she's yelling. So she comes in the door, in the front door. We can hear her like all the way until she goes into her room. And the way, remember I said the walls were thin. So the way her room was set up, we can still hear her. So we're just looking at each other because we are like in honeymoon land. Like we're just like enjoying being with each other. And next thing you know, she's bringing all this, we can hear them. So we're looking at each other like, oh my goodness, I'm glad we're not doing that. So yeah, we're minding our business, doing our thing, and we hear that. We're just like, oh my goodness. So the night carries on. Eventually she goes to sleep, and that was that, y'all. So the next morning or whatever, my babe, he's gone. He's not there anymore. I wake up, I think we had made tacos that night. So the next morning I wanted to eat the leftover tacos. So I go in the kitchen, I'm minding my business, there's nobody there. I'm vibing, I'm like, oh, it's a good day. And I'm making my tacos. Ruby comes into the bathroom. She comes into the kitchen. So she's like, oh, I know you probably heard last night. And she starts to tell me, like, she's basically just telling me like, listen, like this place, like me and my fiance, we fight all the time. And I already knew that because I could hear them, like, me with him, me with my man. That wasn't the first time I had heard her arguing with him. Like I had heard her a lot. Sometimes in the morning, like I would hear her argue with him a lot. So she's basically telling me like, you know, we fight, I don't know what's going on. She basically proceeds to tell me about the situation. It was some small situation about how they went to the movies and she didn't like the movie, but he really wanted to go see it. So they saw it anyway. She had attitude. He was like, it was just a lot going on. So then she starts telling me, you know, when I first met him, I didn't even like him. We met in the cult. And, you know, basically the way the cult is set up, they convinced them to like cut off their family, cut off their friends, and you had to wait until marriage. But you also had to get married to somebody in the cult. Like you had to. It was mandatory in the cult. You had to get married to somebody in the cult. It was men, there was women. They had to get married, okay? So basically she's telling me like, I don't have a good relationship with my mom and my dad. I think her mom, she ends up really confiding in me. She's telling me that her mom passed away when she was younger and her dad was slightly verbally abusive. I guess he didn't know how to handle her sensitivity. And she was just like, I just don't like him. Like, but he has a new wife and I'm not comfortable. And now I'm a fiance. I don't really have a good image of a family. And my husband and my fiance and I, we fight all the time. And she basically tells me that one day they was all in a little monthly meeting where they figure out who gets married. And the guy ends up coming up to her. He's like, I want her. And she was like, oh, I don't really like you like that. Because the girls had the option to say no. But she was basically like, I don't know. But when he stepped up, because they were basically in a circle, he steps up and points her out. He's basically telling her, like, I've been watching you. I like this about you. I like that about you. And she fell in love with that. So now they're about to get married. But now it's a couple months in. They're planning the wedding. And she can't stop arguing with him. So I'm basically telling her like, wow, that's so crazy. Like in my mind, I'm thinking it's weird. Number one, because I don't know her. She's been kind of stush with me. But then it's weird because I'm just trying to get my tacos, and she knew that. Like, she literally watched me get the taco, heat it up, and then eat it, and then get seconds because I just wanted my taco, and she's telling me. But I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, like, this might be our moment to, like, bond a little bit and get to know each other more, because we started off good, we kind of rocked. I'm thinking, like, maybe this is my chance to get back right with her. Maybe we can all be cool, kumbaya, like, it don't gotta be all this static. I have to stop. This video is too long. I've been editing for like 2 days. But y'all, comment what you think. How do y'all feel about Ruby? How you feel about Max? What do you think so far? Please leave a like and a comment. And as always, be sure to subscribe. Okay, bye. See y'all in part 2.